And now for the Kansas Wesleyan University's Coaches Show with the voice of the Coyotes, Tyler Henry. And now, here's Tyler.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in for another installment of the Kansas Wesleyan Coaches Show, presented by Billings Group. So good to be with you once again. We're joined here at the top of the hour by co-interim head coaches David Leonard and Chris Snyder. Gentlemen, as always, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
So another big win over St. Mary. You guys get it in dominant fashion this time, 38-19. Overall, what were your thoughts when you had a chance to break down a second straight Bissell win?
Well, I think it's a really good first half. We played at a high level on both ends. We executed. We were, flying around making plays, and then unfortunately came out flat in the second half. And so, there's a lot of great things to take away from it, and there's a lot of things that we look at and we know that we need to address and work on.
Yeah, again, piggybacking on what Coach said, again, just very happy the way, you get off the bus. We're a little, you're always worried a little bit as a coach, that first long road trip of the year, getting up early, all those little things. But the kids did a great job that first half. I feel like they played pretty hard for the most part in the second half. Looking back at the film and everything, there's definitely some room for improvements. There's things that we're talking about as coaches to try to have better second halves and everything like that. But again, when you win, as that saying goes, right, it's easier to make corrections after wins. So I'm not going to, be overly mad about it, because we can definitely improve on it.
Well, and I did want to put some numbers to that first half. You guys scored 38 points. You had 3 interceptions. Inside the final 3 minutes of the first half, you had led up just 3 first downs to St. Mary as a whole. What did you feel like was kind of clicking for the team as you guys got off to yet another hot start?
Well, offensively, we were able to run the ball really well. I think our O-line did a fantastic job. Looking at film, they did extremely well, and our backs were able to find the holes and make explosive plays, and receivers were blocking down the field. And then in the pass game, we were able to connect. And Woody Banks makes a really good catch in the end zone. That's a splash play for us. So, all around, we handled what we needed to handle and executed at a super high level.
Yeah, offensively, just all the credit really goes to the O-line. Obviously Luke had a great game numbers-wise, but, Z, I think he gets things going pretty well for us, how hard he runs. Like, he doesn't come down with, one tackle or one, just a jersey pull or anything like that. And I think that ignites the O-line, ignites the sideline. So that's helpful. And then you get Luke in there that pops a big one. And then obviously special teams was really good for us in the first half too. But defensively, yeah, they played great. I don't even think they really tried to do anything different in the second half, St. Mary's offensively. And again, that's what I think frustrates you as a coach. It's not like they just changed their offense to a triple option or something crazy. So those are the things, again, as coaches, we're trying to dissect, what's going on. But just really proud that the guys got off the bus. That was probably my biggest concern as a coach, is just how are these kids going to act?
Well, and obviously, you'd rather start hot and then have a lead to protect in the second half than get off to a slow start and have to come back. But, I was curious to get your thoughts on this. You look at these last 2 weeks, your 2 wins in the Bissell division. You've outscored your opponent 73-7 in the first half. You've been outscored 15-3 in the second half. Anything specifically that you guys would like to see now that you've looked at the film to just kind of keep that momentum rolling through quarters 3 and 4?
I think it's the mindset, trying to figure out if we want to be a good team or if we want to be a great team. And good teams can string together a good couple of quarters, and a great team can put 4 quarters together. And so, it just comes back to us, doing what we're supposed to do, executing, taking care of the ball, eliminating big plays. And so, we can do it. It just has to be a mindset and decision from everyone that this is how we're going to execute and this is how we're going to finish. And so, those halves are not lopsided.
Yeah, I think, again, having our staff meeting as coaches, looking at the film and talking about second half ideas, we'll feel like we have a good plan, whether we do with what we're going to be doing at practice, and also, in games, maybe there's things, hey, did we sub a little early? Too much rest for some guys before they went back in. There's just a lot of things you look into. That's why I kind of made that point. It was definitely nothing that they did differently, offensively or defensively. So again, that's where you kind of leave your head scratching. But we do have a plan to try to, ramp up some better performance in the second half. But at the end of the day, the kids still have to do it,
Yeah, I thought the run game was fantastic in this contest. Coach Saturday, you mentioned that a moment ago. Luke and Zarek combined for 385 yards and 4 touchdowns in that game. I know a lot of the credit obviously goes to the guys making the flashy splash plays, but I mean, how good was that O-line and their performance? Not just doing that, but buying time for your quarterbacks there as well.
Yeah, if you really look at it too, not just a run game, but I feel like the last 2 weeks, like when we have a pass play called, I feel like Laura's back there or McNair's back there not really having the flush. And they've really done a really good job the last 2 weeks of keeping us out of negative plays. Like you'll see them take the 4 or 5 yard scramble, and that's big. And then obviously you hit the pass plays where you're able to run the ball. Not having negative plays, it doesn't matter what level you're playing on. It's just going to keep us on the field, and it's going to keep our defense fresh. So everybody's kind of bought into that. Both quarterbacks have handled it well. The backs handle the rotations really well. That's good. And up front, I mean, they're starting to get a little bit of an attitude in a good way. They want run the ball, and those are all great things to hear and see.
Well, and Coach Leonard, how great is it to have, not necessarily a true Thunder and Lightning type duo, but at the same time, 2 backs with different enough styles that, whoever you got out there, you get a little different look for the defense. It really feels like those guys just keep back on their toes.
Yeah, absolutely. They both do really good things. They both have, their own skill set, and both of those skill sets, work extremely well with what we do on offense. So, both of those guys have done an unbelievable job. And, the big thing is, neither one of those players have let egos come in the way. And I mean, that's a special thing when you have 2 guys that are carrying the ball and making explosive plays that both of them are working well together within the offense to make it happen. And so, kudos to them because, it's not always an easy thing to do, especially when both of them are having success. But I think both of those guys know that what they do in their own individual ways, helps us be successful.
It was another great week for your guys' defense as well. 3 interceptions all coming in the first half. You guys didn't allow much on the field or on the scoreboard. Overall, what were your thoughts on the way that played and just some of the things that you were able to do to challenge St. Mary?
Yeah, I mean, just again, the last 2 weeks, our defense has played lights out with the amount of turnovers, short fields they've created. Coach Nolan and the staff have done an amazing job game planning and getting the kids to buy in, again, under the circumstances and everything like that. So couldn't really ask for anything more. They've been really coachable. There's a lot of good interaction. I mean, the defense kids are talking with us offensive coaches and vice versa. I mean, we've gelled pretty well, I feel like. But again, just those guys have played hard. Like I said, if we can get both offense and defense even special teams that we've been really great on good snaps all year, and then we have the one botch, and Wilsey gets hurt on it and everything like that. And that was a second half thing too, I believe. So it's again, not to sound like a broken record, but us all figuring out how we can go for 4 quarters.
Yeah, I think this defense is predicated on everyone doing their assignment. And I know every defense is like that, but I think this one a little bit more in particular. And the turnovers that we've had have been because everyone's doing their job. And so the guy making the play, understands that there were other 10 guys doing their job in order for them to be in that position. And linebackers are doing a really good job of getting their drops, helping out in passing situations. D-line is doing a great job of getting pressure on the quarterback. So all those things, lead to good, successful plays on defense. And we've just been executing. And then, when the opportunity is there, the kids have made those plays. So that's a big thing.
Coach Leonard, I did quickly want to get your thoughts on this. It's been great to see Woody Banks on the field for a sustained season. It feels like he's getting more and more healthy and comfortable every single week. He goes out and puts up another great performance for you this week, 42 yards and a big touchdown catch. I mean, how great is it, not just to have him out there as a player, but to know that, a good kid is finally getting his chance and able to stay on the field?
100%. And Woody and I have had a lot of long conversations, through injury and it's difficult, especially when you're a kid that's used to being on the field, making plays. And so we talked a lot about, even if when he wasn't on the field, he is still the vocal leader. And, I give him a lot of praise, and I don't know if I tell him enough how proud I am, because that's a difficult thing. Sometimes when you want to be on the field making plays and, an injury is holding you back, but he's still always the same. And so now seeing him on the field and doing the things that we knew he was capable of doing is fantastic. So I'm extremely excited for him. And I know if you ask him, he's happy, but he's not content with just what he's done, because he's planning and expecting to make more plays for us.
Well, last thing for you guys, and Coach Snyder, we'll start with you. But overall, when you have a chance to kind of scout Tabor on film, what are the things that stand out to you? What challenges do they present, and where will your guys have to be sharp to pick up another big win here in Bissell play?
Yeah, first thing, Tabor's going to be very well coached. Coach Gardner's been there for 2 different stints. He's a very good coach. They're going to be really good on special teams, because that's definitely his background. They're going to be very sound. And again, we're going to face a team that believes, they're 2-0 and they're in the control of their own destiny, and knock off KW and they're conference champs. And we know what's in front of us, so we should be highly motivated to match that too. But at this point in the year, you do see a lot of the similar schemes offensively, defensively, special teams. So none of that stuff's going to really, shock us, and vice versa for them as well. So it should be 2 very motivated teams. Should be a good game on Saturday.
Yeah, they defensively they throw a lot of different things at you, coverage wise, front wise, and they've switched it up from game to game, in game, and so once again, we've seen it before, but it always presents a challenge. How fast can we pick it up? How fast can we dissect it? And they do a good job of keeping the ball in front of them. They got some good corners that are quick twitch, and offensively, they get into a lot of different formations, and they'll go empty and, run the ball, pass the ball. And, the thing that they've done is they've been in close games, and they've been able to pull out wins. And so that's a difficult thing to do for any team. But, they've done it a couple times in really close games. And so, they're going to, of course, they're going to bring their best game, and we need to prepare and prepare for our best game.
Well, Coach Leonard, Coach Snyder, thank you again so much for joining us, guys, and best of luck to your Coyotes this week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Once again, that was co-interim head coaches David Leonard and Chris Snyder here on the KWU Coaches Show, presented by Billings Group. We'll step away, but when we return, the Coaches Show rolls on right here on KINA.
We spend 1/3 of our lives working to build our wealth. With over 50 years of combined experience, Billings Group wants to be there to help manage yours. If you're planning for retirement or looking for financial coaching, then come see us on Westchester Drive, east of the YMCA, or visit our website at billingsgroup.com. Securities offered by registered representatives through Private Client Services, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory products and services offered by investment advisory representatives through RFG Advisory, a registered investment advisor. RFG Advisory, Billings Group, and Private Client Services are unaffiliated entities.
When life deals you a bad call, throw the challenge flag and fight for your rights. With more than 110 years of combined experience, the legal team at Carter & Alt Duel in Salina help their clients fight to overturn bad life calls, DUI arrest, divorce, child support, and custody decisions, or protecting your Second Amendment rights. Wade Carter and Charles Alt Duel fight for you every day. Get the winning legal team at Carter & Alt Duel on your side to fight for your rights. Find them on the web at cadlawlc.com. That's cadlawlc.com.
Now back to the Kansas Wesleyan University's Coaches Show with Tyler Henry.
Welcome back in here on the KWU Coaches Show, presented by Billings Group. We're joined now by senior tailback Luke Armstrong. Luke, welcome back to the show, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
So you had a monster week. I'm going to run through the numbers here. I still don't believe these are real. This feels like you're playing against your little brother in some kind of a Madden game. 269 yards, 3 touchdowns, and what felt like it was clicking for you last week against St. Mary.
I think I was talking to my friend about it back home. That's he's a coordinator for one of the local high schools, but me and him watched a lot more film than I normally do, and I just felt fluid. Like I didn't have to think. It was just reactionary, and I wasn't hesitating, so I was just hitting it pretty consistently.
Schematically, it feels like the offense has really taken a step up here. Overall, what do you feel like has improved the most with the whole offense in these last 2 weeks?
I think, as I've been saying to my people, I've been talking about the game, but the O-line isn't getting enough credit because they're just meshing well, and the outside zone's doing a lot better. We just need to carry it into the second half.
It feels like a lot of the, maybe some of the big runs last year for yourself, for Tyler Boston, for a lot of the guys that got the ball, it was a lot of improv at times. It seemed like it wasn't, but this year you can kind of tell, like, here's the whole hit it hard.
Yeah.
Has anything changed schematically, or has it just been better execution from the big boys up front?
Well, as you can probably tell, the outside zone that we've put in has been really successful. And I agree, as of recent, it's been designed like, because against certain fronts and different defenses, we plan to hit at different spots, and we have a group chat with the O-line that we talk about each week and where we're planning on hitting it. And it's been pretty consistently in the C gap, but I think the outside zone is doing really good for us.
We've seen a couple of teams that have given you guys a little more room than what I think the early teams in the year did. Does you almost lick your chops in the backfield when you're looking back and you're going, oh man, those safeties look awfully deep? Yeah,
exactly. I was just talking about that, and it's really nice pre-snap when you see the box so light, because your read, you won't have to set it up too much. You just, you're hitting off the inside foot or the outside foot of the guard pretty much. So that was fun.
You and Zarek are a fun 1-2 punch to watch. I wouldn't say you guys are a true Thunder and Lightning duo because it's similar running styles, but it's not identical running styles. What to you is the difference between yourself and Zarek feel?
I think he's more grimy and gutty, and he runs with the heart. He'll break off any tackle and you won't be able to believe it. I think I thrive in open space, but we both have sauce. We both have the ability to assess leverage and make people miss, and we have a lot of experience, so it's a good little tandem there.
At this point, there are a lot of different combinations that opponents have to look for in the backfield. 2 different quarterbacks with 2 different skill sets, now 2 different running backs with 2 different skill sets. How obnoxious must it be for opposing defensive coordinators trying to figure out, okay, so who's on the field and how do we find a way to stop
I
this?
Can't imagine that, because we have 3 quarterbacks that can pretty much do anything, and me and Zarek, I think we present, it's difficult for them because if you're a safety or a linebacker coming down, you have to tackle me differently than how you would tackle Zarek, and then same thing with the quarterbacks. Buck is really good with his jump cuts, and good luck catching BJ, and Rich is slinging it, and he's making people miss, so it's got to be hard.
Well, and ideally you find a way to tackle you guys at all. That was not the case last week.
Exactly.
But speaking of which, I did want to ask you a little bit about that. Do you feel like you've seen kind of an uptick in the passing game here as well? Because I think that's part of the reason you guys have been getting those lighter boxes. People really do have to respect the air game that K-Dub has now. Yeah, especially the last couple of games. It's nice when you have pass protection and you're blocking a D tackle or something, and you look up and there's a 40-yard gain. That's the best feeling, because you're going down there to run it, and the tempo's up, and they're tired. So it helps everything else flow when your pass game's clicking. You mentioned Dayton Taylor, that third quarterback in the mix. He's been used kind of in that super back blocking position. How fun is it when you're following guys, you're showing, oh yeah, that's a quarterback throwing a truck stick hit 2 yards in front of me to buy me some more space. Yeah, we were actually yelling that on the sideline. He had a couple hits. I was watching film when I didn't even see it during the game, and I was surprised. He decleated like 3 kids, and we were all yelling, that's a quarterback. So it was funny, yeah. Speaking of guys that have been back on the field, how great has it been to get Woody Banks out there? I know he's a guy that has just been trying to get healthy, get right, and boy, he really does add, I think, a special dynamic to this offense. Yeah, I think especially in an offense like ours, you really need an X receiver that a 50-50 ball is 80-20. He thrives in those high point situations, and it was really nice to see that touchdown that he had. The whole sideline was hyped for him, and he's getting back in the groove of things, definitely. I was curious to get your mindset back in the backfield as well, because normally, your run-heavy teams, you're thinking, all right, going through the A gap, going through the B gap, 4, 5, 6 yards. You've been breaking off 60, 70, 80-yard touchdowns all season long. Do you believe you can score on every play, and is that something you're looking for, or does it kind of just happen? Yeah, I don't know. I think I always thought of it, great running backs, when they're assessing leverage and they take a handoff, I think the great ones always are making a plan and a path to score, because, granted, you can't do that every play, but if you get an open space or if you have a good block, you should be thinking about the second and third guy that are coming at you. So if you attack leverage inside, someone's flowing. You have to figure out what the plan is after you make him miss, So
I mean, I learned that in high school. I'm just trying to carry it over, you know?
Well, at 8 yards a carry, you're off to a good start here this season, averaging just under 100 yards a game. And it's not just the offense. It's been your contributions. Obviously, we've tracked this year on special teams. You know, I was convinced that you weren't going to get another kickoff or another punt return the rest of the year. But guys have been kicking to you these last couple of weeks. Is that kind of get your blood flowing a little bit, knowing you might get a chance to break off another one in special teams?
Yeah, I love it. It's I had to tell my mom that it's a blessing to jog out there and be the guy back there. I'm really grateful for the role, but honestly, at this point, because the previous 2 games, they didn't kick it to me once. And honestly, I expect it. But Zarek was yelling at a defender 2 games ago, like, you better worry about me too, because I'm dangerous. So, yeah, so every time off the tee, when I see it coming my way, I'm surprised now. But I think it's a good coaching point to not kick it to me.
Do you give yourself a mental return when they kick it 20 yards short and don't even give you a chance? And it's like, you know what, we'll just give the offense good field position. We're not messing with it.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of times I'm tired, or if it's in a situation where you're just trying to be conservative, you don't want to do too much. Because sometimes I'll be a little risky and do some stuff that maybe I shouldn't. But if there's any chance that anything would go wrong, I like to play it safe, you know.
You play a fun brand of football. I think that's always been a part of, you know, just who you are, your personality. But man, how great is it to be back? You know, back-to-back wins here. You're out there back flipping on the field after a big win at home. It just seems like you guys are back to just enjoying the game again.
Exactly. And I think as of recent, as the season comes to a close, I've been thinking about all the guys I transferred here with in 23. I'm just trying to be present and enjoy every moment and soak it all up, because it goes by fast, and pretty soon here we'll be having a couple of our last games, you know?
Obviously, you know, you mentioned 3 more regular season games. That's all that's guaranteed. But with the Bissell playoff spot on the line, you guys win out. More than likely, you guys are heading to the playoffs.
Yes, sir.
How big is that, knowing that, you know, yes, these may be your last couple games, but you're trying to buy yourself at least one more after that?
Yeah, I think the nice part is that it's doable. And I think it helps with the belief and the camaraderie and the unity and the drive of the whole team, because when you have something to play for, it's much different than just coming out and practicing. And last year we kind of realized after the fact, when it was too late, that we made that Ottawa game too big of a thing. You know, we can't go in and think, oh, like, this is it, where we have to play different. If you go out and it's just another game of football, we've all been doing this our whole lives. And I think we're really carrying that into this season, just thinking, all right, just play our game, execute your assignment every play, and see what happens.
Well, Luke, thank you again so much for your time, sir. Best of luck to your Coyotes with Tabor this week.
Heck yeah, thank you.
Once again, that was KW running back Luke Armstrong visiting with us here on the KW Coaches Show. Our conversation presented, as always, by the Jeff Wells Agency of American Family Insurance. We'll step away, but the KW Coaches Show, presented by Billings Group, rolls on next here on KINA.
Harbin Construction has been showing integrity, innovation, and building relationships since 1954. Harbin has been doing amazing commercial contracting work in the Kansas area. A fun fact about KWU: Harbin Construction founded just 6 years after KWU's Memorial Library was built in 1948. This building was dedicated to the 24 students who lost their life in World War II. Students helped transport the books from Carnegie Science Hall to the new building using stretchers. Harbin Construction is a proud sponsor of the KWU Coyotes and sharing history of our Salinas College with you. Harbin, your construction partner for life.
A house fire can destroy everything you've worked so hard for in a matter of minutes. Is your home at risk? Jay's Electric in Salina can help. In addition to electrical inspections to ensure your wiring is up to snuff, Jay's offers affordable smoke detector service plans with both monthly and yearly inspection options available. Are your smoke detectors working properly? Have those batteries been replaced lately? Learn more at jayselectric.com. That's JAES electric.com. Jay's Electric, helping you power through.
Now back to the Kansas Wesleyan University's Coaches Show with Tyler Henry.
Welcome back in here on the Kansas Wesleyan Coaches Show. Tyler Henry joined here by Ryan Shulman, head coach of your KWU women's basketball team. And Coach, it feels like it's been way too long. Welcome back to the show. Great to have you.
No, it's great to be here. It's great to be in basketball season. The weather hasn't quite turned to suggest it's basketball season yet, but I know that day's coming.
Feeling like early September, but yeah, I mean, November's right around the corner, and a basketball game right around the corner here coming up this Friday. You guys will start your season. You know, before we get into, talking about the team and the season and everything that's to come, first and foremost, how excited is everybody for a chance to get out there and just get back to competing in meaningful, real basketball games again?
Yeah, with an older team that we have, the practices are great, and I know the importance of them as a head coach. but there comes a point as a player where you're ready to go play someone else. And we're at that point right now. It's time to go see where we're at, how we stack up against someone who doesn't know the offense and defense, someone who doesn't know our tendencies. Let's go play and start moving towards, our goals.
This really is, I mean, from all the teams that I've ever covered in my entire career, the closest I've ever seen to a team just running it back. And I know, I was maybe a little uncertain as to who would or would not come back, but most of your primary pieces return for another season this year. I mean, first of all, how great is it as a coach to know that you've got those pieces to kind of build everything else around?
Yeah, it's awesome. And when you think about the people that return too, like Lamaya Ricks, this is her 5th year with me, 5th year in our program. That's unheard of, unprecedented. It doesn't happen often. It probably won't happen, once the COVID years run out. So I'm really, really fortunate to have her back. And then you've got 3-year players in Jill Stevens and Angel Lee. They're in their 5th years, 3rd year with us. Lexi Dixon's in her 5th year, 2nd year with us. And so not only that, we've got 4 or 5 other seniors in that group that are all 4-year, Kansas Wesleyan players. So it's a team that knows me, a team that knows our school, a team that knows our league, and that's good. That's comforting as a head coach.
Well, and a team that I think many may fall into the trap of just expecting the same thing, but everybody develops and grows over every offseason. So when you look at the group that you bring back, going into these first couple of games especially, what feels like the biggest known strength of KW women's basketball this year?
Well, one, I feel like we're finishing plays offensively at such a more efficient clip than even when we ended. You look at our percentages, we're 37% from the field. We were 30% from the 3-point line. We were 69% from the free throw line, and we finished 4th. It's like those numbers don't add up. And so we knew we needed to be better. And that was my challenge from March on, is that we got to be able to finish baskets. And I'm seeing higher percentages. I'm seeing people play more confidently on the offensive end. So that's good. That's a great starting point, knowing that maybe there's a chance we'll be able to score some points more efficiently. But then just the overall outlook, we've got a lot of seniors that are back. We've got 5th year players that didn't have to come back, but they wanted to, and they came back for the right reasons. They want to leave that stamp, that legacy of, competing for a conference title. And that's the reason they're back. And so I said, okay, if we're going to do this, if we're going to have you guys back, let's do it for the right reasons. And they've really bought into that. And it's been, we faced some adversity in the preseason. Sometimes it feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 3 steps back. But we've fought through that together, and we've gone through some tough times. And I think our best days are ahead of us for sure.
Well, and speaking of what's ahead of you, I was curious to kind of get your thoughts on the other side of that coin. Again, the pieces you have, what these players are capable of. There aren't going to be a lot of, massive wholesale changes. But at the same time, are there any question marks that you feel like you're looking for answers for here in these first couple of weeks?
We have quality depth and I need to figure out a rotation. And that's a great problem to have when you have a lot of different people that are competing and show up every day. And, some days that one group plays really well and the next day another group outperforms them. So we need some consistency in terms of, I need to figure out who I can play, but I know that there's nobody on that varsity roster that I'm uncomfortable putting in. And so that's a great feeling to have. And that just shows, their mindset and their buy-in and they got better.
As far as new pieces are concerned, again, players that maybe got promoted off of the developmental team or players that you brought in over the offseason, who are some newcomers that you're excited to see get into the mix here this year?
Paige Chauncey is a post player that played reserve basketball last year as a freshman. She absolutely transformed herself over the summer. She lost 30 pounds. She came in way better shape. She moves differently. She's able to play longer stretches. She's just a different player. And she's put herself in a position where she's in a starting conversation right now. And so I'm really pleased with her and her development. And, but we brought in 3 transfers, Jocelyn Hall from Illinois Springfield, Kelsey Koza from Heston College, and Abby Lombardoni from Fulton Montgomery Community College out in New York. And so those 3 provide, Kelsey and Abby are both guards, really good 3-point shooters. And then Jocelyn is a post player. She's long and athletic, so she's a different a different style than Lexi Dixon, a different style than Paige Chauncey. So we're able to give some different looks to defenses.
I think one of the nice things about your team last year, you had 10 to 15 players at any point that could go off for 10 points. You had 5 to 6 that could go off for 15 to 20. Obviously, Lamaya in that conversation as well. Anybody that you've seen take a big step forward from last year that, did play consistent minutes, but that you think might have a breakout season this year?
Catherine Bowman. She was, and I can say this on air because she and I have talked about it. She was not very good offensively. The numbers, percentages, she just wasn't very, very good, a high percentage. We knew she was going to give everything she had, effort and defense. She was our hardest working basketball player. She was our best defender. But man, she just struggled to score last year. She is playing at a different level right now. All of her percentages from our charted scrimmages are over 45%. She's over 38 from the three. She's getting to the free throw line. She is a very, very good offensive weapon for us right now. And so now our conversations are, okay, you've done all the work in the summer. You're doing it in practice. Now let's carry it over to the game. And she's been just fantastic. And I'm really proud of her for the work she's put in, because I know she's focused on that and she's been intentional about that in the summertime. So that's one that I would say I'm very pleased with right now, and we need to see some of that production in games.
Well, and speaking of Catherine Bowman, I'm sure she falls right into this. But again, you look at the players you're bringing back: Lamaya Ricks, Jill Stevens, Angel Lee. How confident is it that you feel as a coach when you have those leaders on the floor that are kind of those coaches on the floor that you maybe don't have to stress about as many things out there?
Yeah, well, I'll still stress about a lot of things, but I know I maybe I won't have to as much. But no, just with those names you mentioned, I mean, they played for me for multiple years, so they know me as a coach. They know our philosophy. They know our identity. They know what we want to do, and so it's been nice in practice because I don't have to teach and reteach. It's if we do something new or a new concept, they pick it up. And so that's been really nice these last, 4 to 6 weeks, is that all the new stuff that we put in, it's been, they've carried it then into scrimmage situations, into game-like situations. And so that's nice. And I attribute it all to them and their experience.
Overall, when you take a look at the schedule, and I'll only ask you about this at the beginning of the year. I know once we get into the season, it's, the next game, the next game, the next game. But when you take a look at it, how do you feel, first of all, about your non-con slate, the teams that you guys will get challenged by before you get into KCAC play, and then also just kind of a front-loaded home schedule, and then a lot of games that you guys are going to be on the road for there at the end of the year?
Yeah, and that's the thing we talked about is just that alone. 8 of our 13 games are at home. We talked as a team that we need to get off to a better start in the beginning. I mean, the last 2 years, I thought we were playing really good basketball in late January, February, but we're playing catch up from the opportunities we let slip in November and December. And so that's the challenge is, it's a tough schedule, from non-conference to conference games, but we have a lot at home. We have to protect our home floor, but we have to be on the right side of that schedule moving into the second semester, because it's just too hard in our league to have to play catch up and have to expect people to lose. It doesn't happen that way. And so that's the challenge now. That's what our conversations have been, is we need to go one game at a time, but we need to find a way to win these games early. And it's not going to be easy because we've got a tough classic at home this weekend, and we got tough road games before we open up conference next week. And so it's definitely going to be a challenge. I keep using that word. That's what we've been talking about this last 2 months.
Well, and speaking of challenge and speaking of your conference, I wanted to ask you about that, because you're not the only team that's bringing back a lot of good pieces here in the KCAC. We'll see a lot of familiar faces once we get into that part of the season. How do you feel about the strength of the conference this year as it stands, and the teams you'll be fighting it out for a spot at the top?
Top to bottom, it's going to be brutal. It is going to be. You have to be ready to play every single game, whether you're at home, whether you're away, whether you're at someone picked at the top, picked at the bottom. You have to be ready to play, because there was no coaching turnover, so there's that continuity there. Everybody returns 4th and 5th year players. Everybody returns, it seems like, 3 and 4 starters. It's going to be a veteran experience league. It's going to be a tough league top to bottom, and like I said, you got to be ready to play, or anybody's going to get you on any given night.
Well, and last question for you here, Coach, but as you look at, again, the early part of the season, but really the season as a whole, what feel like the keys to the year? What does Kansas Wesleyan have to do to have the kind of success that you want this season?
I think it comes down to consistency. I think last year we weren't as consistent as we needed to be. I thought we found a way in late January and February to give ourselves a chance. We earned a home game. We finished 4th place. but we need to be consistent from the start. And I think that goes in everything from effort to execution to being able to, our approach each week, each day, each game has to be the same. And, that's what we've talked about. Those have been our conversations, and with a veteran team, those conversations have been well received. And so until we get in the thick of things, you don't know, but I love where we're at right now. I love where we're headed. Opening up the first week a week ago, I was not ready to play a game. I feel way more confident right now. And so we're excited to get going and just kind of see where we're at.
Well, Coach, you won't have to wait long. First game this Friday night. Come on out to Maybe Arena. Support your Coyote women's basketball team. They kick off the new year with North New Mexico College. That game's set for a 6 p.m. tip. Coach Showman, thank you so much for stopping by. We'll see you on Friday. Best of luck to your Yotes.
My pleasure. Can't wait.
Once again, that was Ryan Showman here on the KW Coaches Show. Here on KINA, we'll step away, but when we come back, we'll round things out. Again, it's presented by Billings Group. It's right here on KINA.
With record-breaking enrollment, great new facilities, and top-notch activities, Kansas Wesleyan's the place to be. Whether you want to study nursing, elementary education, criminal justice, or social work, our academic programs will open doors for your future, all while you participate in activities like music, theater, or athletics. Learn more about why KWU's the place to be by visiting kwu.edu. That's kwu.edu.
At Gambino's Pizza, we serve more toppings, more taste, and more value. Our all-you-can-eat buffet, open every day from 11 to 1:30 p.m., is the only pizza buffet in town. For only $13, every member of your family can find something they will enjoy with options like classic and specialty pizzas or the appetizers and desserts. Not in the mood for pizza? You can order a fresh salad, hearty sandwiches, or creamy pasta from the menu. Dine in at the Salina or Hayes location or order online at gambinospizza.com. You're going to love it.
Now back to the Kansas Wesleyan University's Coaches Show with Tyler Henry.
Welcome back in here on the Kansas Wesleyan Coaches Show, presented by Billings Group. And we're joined now by Anthony Munson, head coach of your Coyote men's basketball team. Coach, first and foremost, so good to have you back on. Can't believe it's basketball season already.
Yeah, it comes up fast, really fast. And, but at the same time, I feel like we've been going at it for a while. And it's nice that we finally have games, that we're able to play here the next couple of weeks.
Well, and I feel like every team is in kind of the same boat, right? You guys have been, off-season practices. You guys get back to work. You're in the gym playing against each other. How excited are the guys for a chance to go out and compete in a meaningful game this Friday and just line up against somebody else that's not wearing purple and white?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. I think we need to see somebody else. I think we're getting sick and tired of each other. We started practice. First day we start with September 18th. We've been doing, basically every day, 5 days a week, 2 hours a day. And guys have done a great job of just doing what we're asking them to do and learning how to work together since we do have a lot of new pieces. But at the same time, I think they're both, the new guys that are returners are sick and tired of staring at each other. So seeing somebody fresh, somebody new that they can go, play and go against, I think it'll be a really exciting time for them.
You look at where this program is at, 3 straight 20-plus win seasons, 3 straight national tournament appearances. Overall, before we get into this year's team, how do you feel just about the state of the program and what you guys have been able to build here?
I mean, I love what we've done here. And I go all the way back to when I first got here when the program was not in a great position. They struggled and winning was not a thing that happened a lot. And, for a variety of reasons. And, the changes that have been made, through me and my staff, my assistants that have come and gone, administration who has invested in us and everything else. I think, it's just been a win-win for a lot of people in our situation. And it's fun to kind of build it up from the bottom and to see where it's at now and to be respected, not just in our conference on a yearly basis, but respected nationally too.
You guys have a ton of talent coming back in here this year, a lot of familiar faces from last year. You also bring in some new pieces. Before we break down the individuals, what feels to you going into these first couple of games like the biggest known strength, the thing that you just don't have to worry about as a coach?
Well, I just think the depth. I think, last year we had some depth issues where we had some injuries and some unfortunate things that happened, and we became very, very thin at the end of the year where, some nights we're going 8 deep, 7 deep, for the most part. And, that's just not the case this year. I feel like we've got great depth at every position. I don't know if we have just superstars, at every position, but we've got people who can really do a good job for us and play their role extremely well. And they fit the piece of the puzzle that we wanted them to fit. And so, to me, I think that's the biggest thing for us, looking at this year's team compared to last year's team. And then I also say, last year we had a very ball dominant point guard. Yeah, we put the ball in his hands a lot. And I kind of told my guys, the theme that I want for this year for you guys is we need to be able to move the ball with the pass a lot better. We don't have that ball dominant point guard. That's okay, but we've got other things that we can use. And one of the things that we want to be really good at is just making that extra pass, moving the ball really well, and playing together.
Kind of on the flip side of that coin, when you look at the group you've got coming in here, especially again for these first couple of games, what are some of the question marks that you guys are still looking to get answers for here as you open the season?
There's a lot of new pieces that'll be playing big roles. So obviously just see how they react in a game-like situation. I also just think in general, how does everything function when we play somebody different? What guys are going to step up and what guys are going to make the impacts we need them to make. And then I'll be honest with the amount of talent we have is finding the right rotations. Right now I'm not even sure what my rotations are. I just know I got to figure it out come Friday, and we will. But I'll say it's not because of a lack of talent. It's because I think we've got a lot of talent. And I think that's a really good problem to have.
Absolutely. Well, and like you said, a lot of new faces, but a familiar core. You look at the guys coming back from last year, Alex Littlejohn, Isaiah and Caden Hale, Easton Hunter. There are others in the mix there as well. But, I was curious, as a coach, not even in terms of, production or scoring, just from a leadership standpoint, how big is it to have all of those guys coming back here for another year?
Yeah, no, and they've done a great job. They've all been way more vocal this year than they've been in the past. It's taken me about 3 years to get them all to do that. But that's, to me, man, I've been so excited to hear them actually, call their teammates out and be vocal on the court and talk and communicate. Because you just solve so many issues when you do that. And they're doing a great job with it. And it makes it's exciting for as a coach to finally get to that point where you feel like you don't have to be the one doing all of that. And they're doing a great job of that. And even some of the new guys, they're not afraid to speak up either, which is nice too.
Well, and speaking of the new guys, obviously we know what we're getting out of guys like Easton Hunter and Alex Littlejohn, but, talk us through some of the new pieces that the KW faithful can kind of get to know here this weekend and should be excited to see and what they bring to the table.
Yeah, I mean, Landon Wegler at Hutch Community College, I think he's got a chance to be one of the best, if not the best, three-point shooter in the conference this year. The kid can flat out light it up. Really quick trigger, really quick release, 6'5", big guard, can really, really, do some things just because of his size and his length. Evans Apollon, we call him Big E. He's 6'9", 6'10", 255 pounds. I've never had a guy that big, so I don't know what to do with him some days. But I'll tell you what, I do like when he sits in the middle of the paint. He just makes sure that nothing happens. So, but he's done a great job. Just being a presence that we haven't had. You go from Thurber Belay, and I love T to death. Loyal to that kid, until the day I die. But it's nice to have a little bit more size in there. And then we kind of move a little bit farther. We've got Dre Kemp, kind of a backup four-man that will play behind Alex Littlejohn. Knows how to win, played at Heights, won a state title there, was a captain on their team. He big time athlete, high energy level kid, which is awesome. Love to have those type of kids in your program. And then, there's just a bunch of other guys that I think are going to make, big time impacts. Carson Jones, a freshman that I think could make an impact. There's a couple returns in Jameer Clemens and DJ Hugspeth that had great summers, have played really, really well for us. And so I think they could make an impact for us. Tucker Bowman at the point guard spot, just a guy who understands how to move the ball, great catch and shoot guy, gives us depth and the ability to start, whether he starts or not. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure some of that stuff out, but he does a great job for us. And so I feel like there's just, and I'm missing somebody I know for sure. I have Stephen Spray, backup five-man, or you could start, at the five, playing at Bart's national championship team. He's 6'7", really, really good athlete, really strong, great finisher, great rebounder, just brings a lot of energy. So I feel like we just have a ton of depth and a ton of energy. And then, even guys that redshirt last year, like Dan Morgan, we're working on getting him cleared and eligible right now. But he's another 6'8", long, athletic, really good shot blocker, really good offensive rebounder. So, I've got a challenge in front of me with all these pieces and trying to figure out, how they work and where we put them and place them. But at the same time, it's really exciting to have, the opportunity to work with such a talented group of guys.
I got two questions for you here on your schedule, and I'll kind of loop these in together for you. First of all, when you look at the non-con slate that you guys play, Wayland Baptist, Northern New Mexico, Manhattan Christian College, Waldorf, and Morningside, what kind of challenges are you expecting out of those teams? And looking at the conference slate, you guys really do have kind of a lot of home games early and a lot of road games late. How do you feel about being on the road that much there to close out your season?
I don't mind road games. I just feel like your team always bonds better on the road than they do at home. Because it's kind of like the you against the world type mentality when you're on the road. And you got to go against not just your opponent, but, the visiting crowd, everything. And as a player, as a coach, I kind of feed off that. I enjoy that type of environment. Don't get me wrong. I love maybe when it's rocking and everything else. So, not saying anything about that, but I do think there's something about you bring your team a little closer together when they're on the road as opposed to at home. And then, with our challenges on the non-conference schedule, obviously we know Morningside. We've had battles with them the past 2 years, and this is kind of the rubber match between the two of us, and this time it's up at their place. They got us 2 years ago at the national tournament. We got them last year at our classic, and now we're going back up there. And so, their coach, Coach Miller, great friend of mine, love him to death. He does a great job with them. And then Wayland Baptist has been a national tournament team for the past 2 years, too. And we're actually going to play them twice, once at our classic and then going to Thanksgiving weekend down there. And so that's going to be a challenge. And then, a couple of teams that I don't know a whole lot, so we're just trying to learn about them in Waldorf and Northern New Mexico. I really think, they're both going to be very good teams, and they're going to challenge us in ways that we need to be challenged, and hopefully we're up for those challenges.
Well, like I mentioned before, you've got 3 straight 20-plus win seasons. You've got 3 straight national tournament appearances. You bring a lot of guys back from last year. When you talk to the guys in this locker room, what have they kind of set out as the goals or maybe even the expectations for what they want to achieve this year?
They want to hang a banner. They want to win a championship in the KCAC. It's kind of the one thing that they've been missing when it comes to, in the conference, finishing second place, past couple of years. That's great, but nobody really wants to be second best, and so that's one of their goals. And I also think getting to the final say in Kansas City, I think that's probably our ultimate team goal is to find a way to win that second round NEI playoff game that has kind of eluded us for a couple of years, and get to Kansas City and be in the top 16 and really good chance to show what we're capable of at a national level.
Well, and last thing for you here, sir, but when you look at the season, you look at the group, you look at what you have to do, what would you say are the biggest keys to the season, at least as you see them here going into these first couple of weeks? What does KW have to do to go out and achieve those goals?
Yeah, we got to be really, really good as a team moving the ball. We got to play together. We got to make sacrifices. Anytime you got a team that's extremely talented, there's going to be guys that make sacrifices to make things better for the team. And if we're not willing to do that, then we'll end up crumbling as a team just because guys will let their egos and stuff get the best of them. So, I think it's just coming together, blending those old guys who have had so much success with the new guys and teaching them kind of how to bring success, but also letting those guys make us better. And so I always think when you bring in new guys, there's 2 things that need to happen. The new guys need to respect what the old guys have done, and the old guys have to embrace what the new guys can bring to the table. And if you can get those to work right, then you usually have a pretty successful season.
Well, I can't wait to see it start here on Friday. Coach Munson, thank you again so much for your time, sir. We'll see you soon.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Once again, that was Anthony Munson, head coach of your Coyote men's basketball team. And that'll just about wrap it up for us here on the KW Coaches Show. But a quick reminder, plenty of action for your Coyotes coming up here this weekend, including the tip-off of the basketball season, the women's team getting things started at 6 o'clock p.m. in the Coyote Classic. That game taking place at Mabee Arena. The men's game to follow at approximately 8 o'clock. And also the football team back in action here this Saturday as they play host to Tabor at 1 o'clock in Salina. That'll do it for us, but want to say a special thank you to Coach Showman, to Coach Munson, of course to Coach Leonard, and to Coach Snyder, and to Luke Armstrong for joining us here on the show. That'll do it for us, but be sure to catch the next installment next Wednesday. We'll be back here on KINA at 6 o'clock p.m. This has been the Kansas Wesleyan Coaches Show.
This has been a presentation of Kansas Wesleyan University's Coaches Show with Tyler Henry, brought to you by CADLaw and Eagle Communications on the Kansas Wesleyan University Network and KINA.